All right, troops, welcome to the War Room. My name is Owen. So tonight we've got a good show for you. We're going to be talking about the perfect weapon, which introduced us to Jeff Speakman and his special brand of Kenpo. So we're looking forward to talking about that. But before we bring on all the team, I just wanted to give you a little update on the website. I think some people don't actually know that there is a website. Like the Action Elite has been around for about 11 or 12 years now. And so if you've never been to it, it's called theactionelite.com. And I got reviews and all kinds of articles and news and interviews with people every day. I literally have no life, so I'm constantly updating all the time. This Monday, I'll be seeing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and so expect a review for that on Tuesday morning. And then we're also getting a little exclusive preview of the Avatar 2 trailer, The Way of Water. So stay tuned for that. So yeah, so keep checking out the Action Elite website every day, and we'll keep you updated with everything action. So enough from me. Let's meet our contestants. First up, we got John Jerva from Action Flicks. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, thanks, sir. And we'll bring on J-Man. How are you?
Yeah, that is how you should say it, actually.
I know, that's what we have to do from now on.
J-Man.
And we got Charlie from Giving Back My Action Movies. What's up?
Yeah, just to go with J-Man, I'll do the Skeletor.
Oh, I've met the voice of Skeletor, Alan Oppenheimer.
Oh, that had to be a treat.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah,
you can't see my wall of He-Man over here. It's way over here.
I have so much He-Man.
No, don't start J-Man now.
No, yeah, just really quickly. I have an entire closet that is all He-Man that you can't actually fit anymore. It's to the top and full. I've got the Castle Grayskull from the Classics line. Yes. I pre-ordered it back in the day, and it takes up the entire bottom, like in packaging, perfect. Like, anyway.
Look at him glow. He is so excited.
I know.
Well, I mean, the name is J-Man, so where do you think you got that from?
That's He-Man, yeah.
Yeah. So that should pretty much sum it up right there. The episodes are still on YouTube, which occasionally I watch, and my brother's like, "Well, why do these He-Man episodes keep showing up on your YouTube?" I'm like, "Wow, that's weird. I don't know why that keeps
so weird."
Yeah. I think people are like logging in or something. It must be hacked. I can't imagine what it could be.
I share my account with J-Man. It's explained, right?
Yeah. So we're going to go into The Perfect Weapon, starring the great Jeff Speakman, and of course introduce us to Kenpo. So I think tonight we do the usual space then. So over to you, J-Man, just to explain for the noobs, and let's do it.
Okay, so space is the review method that I use, and now a few other people have started to adopt it. It stands for story, pacing, artistry, characters, enjoyment. And we're looking for a score out of 10 to grade a movie. So each one of those categories, you can give a score between 0 and 2. So 0 means the story is bad, 1 means it's average, 2 means it's really good, and you do that for every category. You add up your score, you got something out of 10. And we'll explain the categories as we go, and we'll take turns starting first with our review on each category. And then the way it works is that most movies should get between like a 4 and a 6, because if you give a 1 on every score, that means you're saying it's average. So a 5 out of 10 actually means it's average, not so much where people say, oh, a 5 out of 10 as though that's a bad score. A 5 out of 10 movie means it was fun, you liked it. It's not something that you're dying over. You're not going to buy the 4K or whatever, but you might have a DVD copy of it laying around, or you might buy it in a cheapy bin at at a Walmart or Target or something for $5, something like that. So that's how we do it. And I guess I'll start with story, and then someone else, and then we can start with other people around. Do you want to do it like that?
Yep. So do you want me to read the synopsis then? And then,
so let's do the synopsis first so people know what we're doing.
All right, so it's pretty short. An expert, Jeff Speakman, in Kenpo karate, avenges his Chinatown friend slain by a mobster in Los Angeles. That is it. That's as straightforward as it goes. There's not really much else to it.
And a straightforward story like that would normally score you a 1 out of 2, except I'm a little bit biased on this movie, and we know someone else who's going to be really biased on this movie. We're not going to mention their names. But I'm giving this a 1.5, which actually seems kind of preposterous, really, because any person on the planet would probably give this a 1, because there's a lot of conveniences in this story. which happened in about 5 minutes, where Jeff Speakman is working out and he calls his friend at the precise moment where the bad guys are, and he calls Mako, who we'll talk about characters when we get to that. But he calls his friend at the precise moment when he needs to call. He's like, oh no, he's in trouble, and then he drives off. And then we get a whole backstory, which is great. But I'm giving it a 1.5. You know why? Because they really shoved a lot of plot elements. There's he was a troubled youth. He studied the Kenpo to kind of get discipline. He's still trying to perfect his art because he hasn't quite got there yet. There's the getting revenge for my friend. And it's not even the teacher. Normally it would be the teacher who's killed, but it's actually a friend of his father's who introduced him to martial arts. So that's kind of neat. There's this relationship with him and his father where they're kind of not seeing eye to eye. There's a relationship with his younger brother, which was a great relationship in the beginning, which they kind of grew apart. One became a cop. He became just like a loner kind of or whatever. So they actually inserted a lot of little plot details that they really didn't need. That could be a detriment to say, well, there's too much going on. But actually, for me, it kind of all works in a span of less than 90 minutes. I think it was pretty hard to juggle all of these things and not have it be disastrous. So the fact that there's so many plot points and it's not a disaster, I'm giving it a 1.5. I don't know if that makes sense to everybody. It's a 1 because it's kind of generic, but I don't know. There's a lot of little things in it, that are kind of neat. So yeah, I'm going to give it 1.5.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I'll just go next this time. And I would also give it a 1.5 because I like the fact that our main character has anger issues. Like he suffers from rage problems, and I have that problem too. That's why I have a hernia, because I keep getting myself so mad about stupid things. So yeah, I thought there was something sort of different. And his character, we'll get to the character later on, but he's kind of a dick as well. It's not like he's this like super nice guy earlier on. And I thought that was interesting. But yeah, it is generic stuff. It's just a simple sort of revenge story. So yeah, I actually would agree and would go with 1.5. So Charlie.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say you guys probably watched this movie way more than I have because I hadn't seen this since I was like 15. So I enjoyed the hell out of this movie, but I'm going to be that guy you guys keep talking about. I'm going to give it a 1. There was a lot of, just by chance, and J-Man nailed it. I'm calling at the exact moment my friend is getting hustled by some kind of gang, and I'm driving there immediately. And it keeps going. Like every time something happens in the movie, it conveniently leads into the next thing, and then leads into the next thing. And as far as pacing and other things, it'll get better, but I'm going 1 on story for right now. Generic action movie. Check.
Yeah.
That's it.
I would agree. Yeah. Okay, John.
Okay, so as everybody knows, I'm a 3rd-degree black belt in Ed Parker Kenpo, or American Kenpo Karate. This movie is twofold for me. One, obviously, this is the movie that got me to actually walk into a dojo. I wanted to take karate since I could walk, but I always was hesitant, and I did soccer for a long time instead of it. I finally went to see The Perfect Weapon on Friday night, opening night, and the next day I walked into a Kenpo school that was in my area, and the rest is history. Now, here's the thing. I was weighing back and forth, 1.5. I wasn't going to go 2. Obviously, it's not a 2. I mean, even as much as this movie made me who I am, in terms of martial arts, it's not a 2. But I'm going 1.5 too. But I'm going 1.5 in a different tangent than you guys are. Now, I love the aspect, like J-Man covered pretty much all of it. There's a lot going on, and I liked how, like Owen said, he's a damaged character. Because, like, back then, there was a lot of, guys that were, like, had a nice polished sheen to their character, Now, here's somebody who's not perfect. He's dealing with stuff. He's got family issues. He's got anger issues, That's why he started taking Kenpo Karate in the first place. But I loved how throughout the beginning they talked about the history of Kenpo, and it's basically like a for somebody who doesn't know what Kenpo is, you got Master Lo. I'll talk about him later, but he's explaining everything, and I love that aspect in it. As I got more and more into studying the art, it just meant so much more for me. So I am biased in a way, but I'm going to say 1.52 because, like I said, it is a simple revenge story. A lot of things happen off random. Yeah, he's a one-man army. We get it, you know, but at the same time, I loved how they got the philosophical side to it. They, you know, because this was Ed Parker's baby before he died. He never got to see it because he died before it came out. But they really nailed the essence of Kenpo karate. And as I got further into the system, you know, it even made more sense to me as I watch it now. And I've seen, Charlie, you probably haven't seen it since you were 15. I think since I was 15. So how old was I when it came? I was 19. I was 19, so I was older than you were. So in the terms of from now until then, I've probably seen it 1,000 times. No shit. So, and I watched it twice this weekend, not just because of my neurological disorder, because I have to watch things more than once because I'll forget, even if it's a movie I've seen 1,000 times. But
I watched it 3 times this week, guys.
There you go.
Oh my God.
So
I was making up for going, why have I not watched this movie more? It did grab me. Don't get me wrong.
No,
I love Jeff Speakman.
Yes.
So 3 times this week I've watched it.
Yeah, so I watched it once and I was like, I got it. I mean, even with my disorder, I could talk about this with my eyes closed. But then today, my wife was doing some stuff with the girls and I was like, click. I got the power. I'm like, I'm watching it again. I'm hooked. All right, so there you go. 1.5 for me.
Okay. So on to pacing. So well, I'm just going to pick people at random. So Charlie, over to you.
Pacing, really freaking fast. Like everything happens, boom, boom, boom. I just found out my best friend died. Now I'm going to find out who killed him. Now I'm going to find out all of this. Oh, I just ran into all the people I grew up with. Oh, there's my brother. Oh, there's my dad. Holy shit, man. Slow down 1 second, please, so I can consume what's going on. I'm going to say just because of that, because I felt like it was just so rapid fire. It's like 1.5. You know, it is a perfect action movie as far as fight talking. I love that, but I'm going to ding it a little bit because it's just so much all at once. And it's like you said, 90-minute movie. That's short for what the story should have been. I mean, really. So 1.5.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'll go now. I would go for a 1.5 as well, because I've always felt that there should have been maybe a scene at the end with him and his father, sort of reconciling or talking. And I thought that relationship didn't get enough weight behind it, and I would have liked a bit more there. The brother, I thought that was fine, but I don't know. It was just sort of, let's just cut to him punching people in the face, and let's not waste too much time on silly things like characterization, whatever. I mean, my thing is what even is the character of Jeff, which is a great name, by the way. This character name is Jeff. It must have been hard to learn that name. What even is his job? Like in the movie, he's not a cop.
Construction worker. Yeah,
he's a construction worker. Yeah. Okay, right. Because I was like, what's he doing? It's just like, I'm looking for revenge. I'm going to kill this guy. I'm like, oh, okay. It's like, how are you paying your bills? But
hey, I do construction. We can pay our bills. We're good.
Oh, that's all right. No, I didn't even notice that. So 1.5. I think really well paced. It doesn't go long between a fight scene, and there's like some really convenient fight scenes that come up, like whenever he's like going after the guy, and then he gets like the guys come up to mug him in the street like within seconds after him chasing after. You're like, really? That's a really bad night you're having there. So 1.5 for me. So Jay, you.
Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna say 1.5. This is weird. See, because pacing is important, because too fast can be bad, right? Like this is why it's so difficult to like pacing. It's like, oh yeah, it was fast. It was 90 minutes. Well, there you go. It's 2 out of 2. And I would give it 2 out of 2 just based on words. Me saying, oh, there's a lot of action. The ratio of this movie is actually perfect in scene construction. Storyline, fight scene, story, fight, character. It's literally one after another. A little bit of story character thing, then there's a fight. However, the scenes themselves are not long enough in between that ratio. So he talks to his brother. Oh, hey, how's it going? Yeah, good. Okay, fight scene. You're like, whoa. You haven't seen this guy for a while. How's dad doing? Where's the scene where they're just at a restaurant and just talking about what's happened, since he's been gone and things like that. So on the surface, you're like, well, who cares? It's 90 minutes. We got all the fights we want. That's true. but the fights are less impactful if we don't care enough about the characters. Like once his brother being wrong, like him kind of toying with his brother and lying to him, saying, "Oh, the kid saw the murder, but then he didn't really see it or whatever." It's like that would have meant more if we cared more about the brother, but we didn't get enough of their relationship. He's like, "Oh, sorry, I lied to you." It's like, okay, and then then the brother's taken out of the picture, so it's too fast. However, it is still very fast paced, and I think it's sort of like shorthand. You have to kind of create the story in your head. You're like, yeah, okay, I get it. They didn't get along. Okay, I got it. You know what I mean? And that is okay for an action movie. So I'm still giving it 1.5. But it could have been a little, with maybe 10 more minutes even, it could have improved it a little bit. But it is what it is. So yeah, 1.5. I mean, 1.5 is still like, I mean,
it's still great.
Still
it's never boring. Yeah, that's the thing.
Never, no. And I think we're smart enough. It's almost like this is made for action movie fans specifically, where we're smart enough to fill in gaps of story. It's like, I get it. Him and the brother fell out of touch. Okay, I get it. The dad is it doesn't like him. Okay, I get it. He has to still learn. Okay, I get it. Like that girl at the end is from Law and Order or something, isn't she?
She doesn't even speak.
And she doesn't have a speaking role, and she's the star of that one of those Law and Order shows or something.
Yeah, Mariska Hargitay, isn't that her name?
Mariska something. Yeah.
So you brought her up, and I was going to bring her up in the characters, but they make her out to be more important during the flashbacks as a child, and then nothing. And I'm sorry, after I've watched all of Cobra Kai, she just reminds me of the one girl that goes over to Cobra Kai, the blonde-haired one. Right. She has the same look, mannerisms, hairdo, the whole 9 yards. But I'm like, did I miss like a love scene? Did I miss that they were involved? What's going, and then like you said, nothing. So I guess that does work with pacing. There was just no time for love. Jeff Speakman was going to kick some ass.
All right, John.
All right, so here's the thing. I heard what you guys are saying, and actually there's a funny story to this. Now, obviously, I think it's actually less than 90 minutes because I was watching my recording, and actually I burned copies, like, because they never legit release these on any kind of DVD, or I want Blu-ray. They need to release all these.
It's out on Blu-ray. It's on Blu-ray.
Is it?
Blu-ray. Yeah, I have the Blu-ray. Yeah.
Well, shit. Well, when I have money, then I'll buy it. But I mean, so I was watching today, and my recording was 1 hour and 29 minutes long, and that's with credits. Now, here's the thing: pacing, right? A lot of stuff's going on. Boom, 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 boom. It's like fight, talk, fight, talk, fight, talk. But here's the thing now. I'm going to give it a 1.5. I would have given it a 2. Here's why. Now, there is another version of this movie out there. Okay, now listen to me. Now, this is the theatrical version. Now, funny story. I had you, J-Man, what was the channel you were talking about that had all the karate and action movies growing up?
It was like City TV or whatever.
We had WUAB channel 43 where I grew up. Okay, and they showed Godzilla movies, action movies, ninja movies. Exactly. Perfect Weapon comes up one afternoon, right? I just got it out of classes and I came home and I was tired. So I was like, oh, the Perfect Weapon's on TV. I'm going to watch it. The TV version has additional scenes. Wow. I shit you not. And I wish I had recorded it, but something happened to my VHS tape and I'm pissed to this day because when you watch the version that I saw on WUAB Channel 43, Mariska Hargitay talks. There's a whole scene of her talking to Jeff Speakman. They have a whole conversation. She talks. Wow. They delve more into his backstory when he's a kid. I am not kidding you. It's out there. It exists. If somebody's seen it,
I have a quest now. I need to find it.
Yes, exactly. I need to find this, and even if it has commercials, I don't give a shit because and then there's an extra fight scene in it too. Just we don't need one, but I think I haven't seen it in years because so after I think they're talking in a cemetery. It's been years, and I think after they're done talking, bad guys pop out of nowhere, and it's just like Kenpo talking. But I'm just like, hey, all right. I was like, because I remember the first time watching this, and when the first scene came on that wasn't in the theater, because I'd seen the theatrical 8,000 times before that. I'm like, what is this? What is going on right now? And then she talked. I'm like, she talked. She's talking. So I would give it a 2 if they had included these scenes in the theatrical version, because it does slow things down. It kind of, it's like, okay. And then they get this nice scene where they're talking. And like I said, I can't remember what's said between the two, but you get more history between them two. And I would have bumped it up to a 2, but the theatrical version gets a 1.5.
I probably would have bumped it up had they done that.
Yep,
it's not so much
I swear
that
to God.
Yep. I don't feel like it's slowed down. I just feel like every once in a while this thing hit a wall, and then it would be fight scene, wall, fight scene, and that's how it kind of ran,
And to this day, I never understood why the TV version had additional material not seen in the theater.
Television, TV.
Okay, for the commercial breaks.
Yeah, they need to make it so that
2 hours or something like that.
Block. Yeah. Maniac Cop,
Halloween.
Yeah. All of these movies, it's like those are the two big ones. Maniac Cop has an entire sequence. No, it doesn't. The Blu-ray doesn't have anything on it. I just watched it again the other day. I've watched the Blu-ray like 4 or 5 times.
Somebody commented. Outdoor Adventures. I think that's my buddy Ben.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John. No, I was just going to say, somebody commented on the post, like, they're searching for the deleted scenes still.
Yes.
Like, it's known that they're out there, but I didn't know it was Mariska that was involved with it.
Yes. She talked. Yeah, it's so funny how she's been on Law & Order SVU for like 30 years now. And she's like, and she never had a speaking role in this goddamn movie. I'm like, it just, but hey, like I said, everything happens for a reason, and she was in other things, I'm sure, before she went on Law & Order. But, yeah, for her not to talk the whole movie, it was just weird, because Tom don't need story thinking hard.
Well, you're not wrong.
I'm not the kind of guy that just needs 90 minutes of wall-to-wall action. I've argued with people in the past, it's like there wasn't enough action. I'm like, as long as there's like something at the beginning, something in the middle, and something at the end, I'm a happy camper. Yeah. It's when it's like, like Black Eagle with Sho Kosugi and Jean-Claude Van Damme. I talked about that movie recently. It's so dry watching this movie. And then you get their fights, and they're not epic fights. When you build Jean-Claude Van Damme against Sho Kosugi, you want epic awesomeness. Yeah. And where they do fight twice, it's not epic awesomeness.
But he also splits some through knives, though.
Yeah. But in terms of perfect weapon, I'm trying to find. I mean, I've even like Googled YouTube and stuff like that.
Yeah, I couldn't find it there. Yeah.
Nope. It to this day, I have never been able to find it. I wish I still had my VHS copy because I would have, burned it and like sent it to you guys.
Mm-hmm. Same for the anniversary edition release with it. Yeah.
Something. Yeah. Hey, give this movie means a lot to a lot of people. Yeah. Give it a proper Blu-ray.
88 Films or Arrow or somebody like that. Yeah.
I want interviews. I want footage of Ed Parker. I want, do what it needs to be.
That Vinegar Syndrome Vinegar Syndrome is good with these.
Vinegar Syndrome are great.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Actioners, right? You like Jamal Murray interviews and shit. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's better than the movie. I'm like, you're watching you guys talk about it. It's making me more excited.
If I start. And God bless you, sent me a copy of the Tiger Claws trilogy of Vinegar. Yeah. Love him for it, but I watched the interviews. I'm watching the interviews because I've seen the movies a bunch of times. So I popped the interviews in first.
I saw those in the theater in Toronto.
Yes, I wish I would have saw them on the green screen.
Where it was filmed. Yeah, they're all filmed here, which is awesome. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So on to has everyone spoken about this? We'll move on to artistry then. Okay. All right, I'll start then. I've been sort of hovering between 1.5 and 2, but you know what? I'm going to go for 2 just because of like the fight scenes in it. I think that's awesome. Love Jeff Speakman. Look how fast he is in the fight scenes, and the gym fight scene is the best scene of the movie. It's an incredible fight scene where he's fighting James Liu and poor Leo Lee. Did Leo Lee ever win a single fight in the 90s? He got his ass kicked in like every single movie.
He was
a jobber.
Every martial arts movie that came out in the 90s, and he got his
Jeff Wincott beat him up in every movie.
Lorenzo Lamas even beat him up in Bounty Tracker.
Just for Leo, he deserves to have like his own movie where he gets to win a fight. So I'm going to go for 2. I love the final fight scene as well, where he fights Tanaka, and you got an epic bad guy death as well, where he explodes. Cool. I mean, that's just so awesome. You got a decent score. which isn't that memorable. It's by Gary Chang again, and he did Death Warrant, and it's actually almost exactly the same score as Death Warrant.
It is. I watched that this week too, so
yeah,
it's almost exact.
I did too. I watched Death Warrant. It was on TV.
I feel like we should do a Death Warrant show soon, and we'll do it in the next few weeks because it's one of my favorite Van Damme movies. So yeah, because Sandman is one of my favorite villains.
Yeah.
So that's me. I would say I'm gonna go for 2. I guess you could take it apart for some things, but I just love the action in it and whatever else. So G-Man. Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 1.5. Basically, where you're teetering, I was teetering. Mostly, the music isn't as memorable. The score, I do like I've got the power and all that in the beginning. I think the beginning is really neat how they introduce them. I like the idea of flashbacking and the way that they show progression of him getting the belts. It's like he keeps doing the spin kicks, and with every spin kick it's another belt, and then he gets another one, and I like that sort of look. I like little things like having a little flower, like putting on the flower before you commit the crime, and then taking the flower and putting it on the body. Pretty good, not a bad car chase, obviously the fights are incredible. Especially with the sticks, like as soon as he gets the sticks, man, it's like I mean, it's so fast, and the music, it's so close. It's tough on a smaller budget action movie, but I think they used the budget well and did the best that they could. So I'm giving it 1.5. I can't get to the 2. I can't hum the theme or whatever.
True,
So that's kind of a little bit of a ding, but I've got the power, man. When
that's all you need to know, man. They could have played that the entire movie.
I know, like I just wanted to get up and start doing the,
I did too, and only 2 things slowed me down: my brain and my shoulder.
One thing when you mentioned about the sticks there, Jay, just while I remember, I love how when he goes into the final battle, normally an action hero goes in with lots of guns, whatever else. He doesn't use a gun in the entire movie. Rather than going in with guns, he goes in with 2 Kenpo sticks, and he just fucks everybody up with that. And I was like, yes, particularly that poor couch. That couch didn't deserve that.
Nice leather couch like that. You know how much that thing costs?
Especially
I love
in the
that
90s.
he has a couch that he can beat up that he doesn't need later. It's like, I guess you don't need this couch later. There's a lot of funny little action. We'll talk about that in the enjoyment, but just little random points. But anyways, 1.5.
Okay. So agreed. Speakman as Kenpo brought something to the screen that we'd never seen before. The man is a world. Yeah, I mean that was the thing. This was the first time we really saw Kenpo on movie screen, really, wasn't it?
No.
Sort of mainstream. I
mean, like big time.
Mainstream. Ed Parker did the Pink Panther movies, and he demonstrated authentic Kenpo.
Oh, okay.
That's right. Yeah, because I remember them showing that in the Scott Adkins interview, which is
Yeah.
So, all the fight scenes were very well done and choreographed. Yes, they were. It's Ron. Hey, Ron. Long time no see. Yeah.
Oh shit. For a while.
Although it's our fault because I couldn't be bothered doing a stream for a few months, but we've been back now, Ron. So we'll have you on again soon. I was thinking the party.
I've seen that a bunch of times too.
I don't know if you watch that. Okay, that couch did have it coming. Actually,
it did.
Fuck that couch.
Yeah. It posted some angry tweets. It was something that posted some bad tweets.
Cancel that couch.
Cancel the couch.
Yeah, the couch has to be canceled. Yeah. So, Charlie.
I'm looking at my score and I'm kind of hurting my own feelings, and I'm feeling like I need to go 2 on this artistry because of how much I really did enjoy this movie. And I know I get another score for enjoyment, but the fights are phenomenal. I couldn't tear my eyes away from the screen. The way they portray his speed, like you guys are talking about how fast he used the Kenpo sticks. There's some punches he throws that done, and this guy's out of there. And my man Al Leong shows up uncredited in the bar fight. He's just one random dude that just falls down after he gets hit one time. But I like the scenery as far as artistry goes. I like where they're setting at the mix of the Asian themes and, obviously the white guy that's stuck in the middle of all of that, especially like the funeral and stuff. He stands out drastically among that entire group. Like everyone else is in the back. He's in like the front row. So as far as how they shot it, artistry, fighting, and everything, I can justify giving it a 2 as far as artistry goes.
Yeah, and any good action movie has a finale at the docks, which this does.
Yes.
Are there conveniently placed exploding barrels? I don't.
Yes.
So
I've never. I've never used chains that spark that much, though.
No.
That was my only thing. I was
or stuff where steam comes out.
Yeah, I mean, just a lot of convenience there, but it works. It works.
Yeah, I loved how in the gym his speed increased. He started wheeling on the guy, and he was just a drummer keeping time for him. Yeah, totally.
Yep.
Yeah, that scene is amazing. That's actually how we'll be ending this show. But anyway, and so John.
Okay, so can you tell I'm passionate about this movie? I don't know.
No.
I need to step it up a little bit.
But
okay, so we're talking about artistry. The artistry is American Kenpo. This is okay. Like Top Gun and Navy SEALs are like films to get recruiting into the Navy. This is to get people into Kenpo, and it does. It did for me. Like I said, I saw it that night. I came in the next morning. The instructor, who I got to know very well because he became my instructor and my boss, he's like, "You're here because of the perfect weapon." And I'm like, "Yes, I am." Hang on. The class and it was like Navy SEAL training. The class I started in, there was like 50 people. I shit you not. It was like so congested in there. And then slowly but surely, boom, they start weeding out. I'm still here. It's like, and I never stopped, because, of course you get people into it, but then it's those that stay and stick with it. That's the other.
Right.
And okay, so Kenpo. And again, I know Bruce Lee's an icon or a legend, but it's when I watch Jeff Speakman move, I love him moving more than Bruce Lee. He is artistry in motion. You don't speed the film up. Those are his hands moving. That's his hands. When he hits Kirihiroruki Tagawa and he goes, that's his hands. That's not a special effect. That's him hitting. Well, obviously he's not going to hit him. But that's his hands. And the gym scene is so iconic. I wonder if I can kick your ass. And they're all just looking at him. He's like, no. Awesome. And he puts his hand. He's like, just not you, all three of you. And they're all looking at him like he's freaking insane. Mm-hmm. And then and again, what do we hate most about fight scenes? It's like when the hero is fighting people and the other guys are hanging on the back while waiting for their turn. They're like, my turn, and they come charging at him. He hits them, my turn. This settled that problem, especially like when Kim was first killed and he run in. Oh, and you were talking about how convenient was it that the thugs show up, I'm going to cut you, motherfucker, and it's like, I love that part too, He's like, you want my wallet? And I love that. And he totally like just goes all around him, like, and you're just like, what the frick just happened? And same thing with the gym fight. He's fighting one, but then he's fighting 2-on-1, and he goes back and forth, and that's what Kenpo does, and I love it. The more you get into Kenpo and the more belts you earn, it becomes a better watch because you're like, there's encounter with danger. When the guy comes down with the knife at the end and he sticks it into his leg, that's called raiding lance. Thundering hammers when the guy's bent over and he's wailing on him with his hammer fist. It's like, it just becomes so much better that you know what he's doing, and it's so awesome. And I watched the Jeff Speakman interview with Scott Adkins too, and I love when he says when there's a difference between martial fighting and martial art. MMA is martial fighting. There's no art in it. And people argue, but there isn't. It's just, it's a form of combat. It's a form of combat. So here they're showing, yes, Kenpo is devastating. It's deadly. It's lethal. But at the same time, it's more than that. When you get a black belt in Kenpo, it takes you 5 years to get a black belt in Kenpo. They just don't pass them out. Okay, it's like graduating college because there's so much information that you have to absorb when you're doing it. And this movie just radiated all of that. It just brought it to the forefront. And like I said, I'm so mad that I never got to meet Ed Parker because for what I heard Jeff Speakman say, to talk to him, he was like one of the smartest men alive. And this movie, it just the fight scenes are that. They're artistic, and what he does with his hands and his kick and sweep combos, unbelievable. It's just I can never get enough of it. And even with his suckier movies that he did later on, because he got screwed by Paramount and his producer, when he still does his Kenpo in all of his movies. He makes sure that even if it's only 2 or 3 scenes, he puts his Kenpo into it because he wants to help promote his art. And it is the most jaw-dropping, devastating thing you'll ever see. And I'm going to for that reason.
So
Really?
yes, two?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was going to go for 0.5 there.
Yeah, I thought that's where I was going to say you were going to go. I did like how that you guys were talking about in the gym scene where you were used to everyone either one-on-one
Standing aside,
or
yeah.
And the way they explained it was the guy was like, "No, I'm taking this guy out one-on-one."
Yes.
So he's telling his buddies, "No, stay back, even though I'm on the ground." And then they realized the tide has changed and Jeff Speakman's kicking their asses. And I like that. I like that they took enough time to do, and that's another thing for the artistry. Like I can come up with enough reasons to give it a 2.
Yeah.
Is that everybody?
Yeah, that's everybody.
Yeah.
I think
so now we go on to enjoyment, which
no characters.
No,
characters. That's right. Yes, characters. So I don't remember seeing this one about Mako and Carrie. Oh, Ron, you're in for a wee treat.
You need to watch that shit tonight.
Oh, it is awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a couch so much action since Showgirls.
I own that movie too.
Yeah.
Verhoeven,
I saw that
baby.
in the theater also.
It's King Verhoeven. Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
Characters. So I'll go first. So characters, I'm actually going to go 1.0 because like Jeff is kind of a dick, but I like the fact that he has some rage issues and whatever else, and that's kind of it. The other characters aren't given enough time. Like I said, Marissa Hargitay didn't even get to speak. I mean, you get Karahuki Tagawa, but he doesn't even have that big a role. I'd say the person who makes the biggest impact is Professor Tanaka, who plays the originally named Tanaka, who he has the big final fight with. But James Hong, of course, who James Hong makes every movie better, and that's like one of the least surprising villain reveals ever. Like, oh no, James Hong is the bad guy. Of course he is. I mean, you kind of know that straight away. So yeah, not few of the characters make that much of an impact. It's more just Jeff's badassery that sort of really stands out. So I'm going to go for a 1 here. So G-Man.
So I was toying between 0.5 and 1, and the reason is really the villains are not evil enough that I want to see them destroyed. Like obviously you want them to win. I want Jeff Speakman. Okay. I want Jeff Speakman to win. Not so much I want to see the bad guys lose. Like in some movies, I want to see the hero win because I like him so much, and I want to see the bad guys lose because I hate them so much. It's like in this one, I want to see Jeff Speakman win. I don't necessarily need to see the bad guys lose because like, look, they're dicks. They're bad guys. There wasn't any it didn't seem like it was so evil, and I felt that when James comes in and he's like talking to Jeff and saying, oh, it's this other guy who's orchestrating it. Oh, and I was like, this is so cool. And it's like, now we could build this up. But it didn't, again, because of the story issues and the pacing, it just came and went. Like the reason of the movie is called Perfect Weapon, and James Hong is explaining that's the whole plot with James Hong, and then he doesn't really do it. It doesn't go anywhere. And so he's like, okay, it's like I wanted Jeff to get like dicked around longer, and then see what he's the guy who's been dicking me around. It's like, oh, I'm gonna get. Then you're like, yeah, I want to see that guy get it, but that didn't really happen. I know that's a story flaw more than a character flaw, but it kind of in this case,
no, but it's still a part of it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh God. I'm gonna give it a 1 because I'm a bit biased towards. Honestly, I think if I'm being really honest, I would give it a 0.5 because really I like Jeff and the brother. That's it. Like
nobody else. I can't even tell you the main bad guy's name. It's James Hong.
I don't know any. Right.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe you know what? I'm gonna give it a 0.5.
Go for it. Why not? Yeah.
Because like Jeff is awesome, and I just want him to just be awesome, and he is awesome. Like his whole I could beat you guys up. I'll take all 3 of you on. He didn't need to make that challenge. The guy said if I beat you, and then he's like, I'll beat all 3 of you. It's like, well, okay. And it's like, I love all that stuff, but the brother, he's okay. The dad is kind of a dick.
Nothing given to him. I wanted an extra scene or 2 with him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a bad parent because he's also the parent of the killer played by Judd Nelson in Relentless. If you've seen the movie Relentless,
I have.
Leo Rossi, isn't it?
Leo Rossi's the detective in that with Frank Loja. They're the detectives, and Judd Nelson's the phone book killer. And or the Sunset Killer, I think they call him. Yeah, his father is that same actor. I'm like, hey, this guy's a bad parent.
You're just a bad dad.
I'm just a bad dad. But yeah, I'm going to give it a 0.5.
One thing I just want to add to my thing was I meant to say, what I like is that Jeff Speakman as a character, like, I love the confidence he has on screen, where he's confident but not arrogant the way Seagal is. He doesn't quite have that swagger, but he has this sort of everyman likability where he's sort of appealing, but yet he can kick anybody's ass. So I think that's sort of a major point in his favor. So John.
So yeah, in terms of characterization, like Jeff Speakman, of course, he's the one that gets the most history. Everybody knows about him. He gets the flashbacks and everything. His brother, to a point, his dad, kind of, sort of, but like Owen's saying, like, there's no resolution. Like at the end, he throws Yun down, and his dad's like, so that's his nod of approval.
Right?
Yeah, it's like, are you gonna go get a beer with him now? I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
They should have at least hugged or something.
Yeah.
Hug it out.
It's shorthand. It's this action movie shorthand. It's like, yeah, okay, we get it now. They're cool.
We don't need to show.
And
we
that's
don't need
fine
to show
for us.
Yeah, we don't need to show any of that shit. You get it. He didn't kill a guy. He knows he's changed.
Right.
And again, this is the theatrical version I'm talking about, and he has with Mariska Hargitay doesn't talk. Yeah, you see her at the beginning. You think she's going to be more than it is, and she's just kind of hanging out with Master Lo. I'm so pissed that they got some Asian-looking guy to play. Because Ed Parker auditioned for the role of the Master, and he wasn't put into the goddamn movie. I'm like, that was a missed opportunity. I'm like, what the hell's going? And like, because here's what they're saying. They're like, you need a Mr. Miyagi-looking person. You're like, oh, you can't get taught by a tall Hawaiian-looking guy. You got to get taught by a little Asian Mr. Miyagi guy. It's like, come on, man. Put Ed Parker in his movie. This is his movie.
At least somewhere. Somewhere in it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Or like, be like, even though that wasn't his instructor, they still show that Parker, was above Master Lo, whatever. None of that. It was like Ed Parker's the creator of or the father of American Karate. Put the man in the movie. So the bad guys, like J-Man saying, the bad guys are hair pong dealers. We get it. They're bad guys. They'll shoot you if they want to. They'll do what they want. They want to make money. Professor Toru Tanaka, he's the same guy in all of his movies. I love the part with the flower though, where he's like speaking like his gibberish. And I love that part. But for the most part, besides Jeff and his brother to a point, and even his father, because you do see his father in flashbacks, it's a 1 for characters, because there's nothing going on with anybody else, and everybody else is stereotypical action martial arts revenge movie. So,
Okay, Charlie?
You guys have nailed it. I mean, really. So for me, going back this week and watching it, I got excited every time a new character got shown, because I'm like, I know that guy. That's James Hong. Yeah. I know that as Kerry Takawa. I'm even going, Kerry Takawa's the bad guy. Kerry Takawa, he has to be. It has to be him. Until I see James Hong, who's supposed to be hidden in the shadow, and when I'm looking at it, going, that's definitely James Hong.
It's
you're not hiding that from me. And then I get super excited when I see Professor Toru Tanaka come running around and headbutting people to death. I think the biggest flaw, like I forget who was bringing it up, was there. I don't fear these guys. I don't hate these guys. Mm-hmm. Barely anyone dies in this movie. For an action movie, everybody just gets a lot of bad boo-boos.
Yeah, he never kills anybody in it, I don't think.
He kills
Mako. He's the only one.
He kills Professor Toru Tanaka.
Well, the explosion kills him. He doesn't.
Well, he throws the sparkly chain.
Yeah.
But it's this whole thing of I'm not scared of you. You have no threat over me other than you killed Mako, and we're supposed to know that that's what Professor Tanaka's whole shtick is. Yeah. You put a flower on him, I headbutt you. He doesn't even kill the cop when he's handcuffing him. I'm like, that dude's gonna get his neck broken. Nope, nothing. We talked about Mariska. I felt like she was going to be bigger in the movie. No, Jeff, it's pretty much Jeff the movie. That's what it is. Everyone else is just there for him to showcase Kenpo.
Yep.
And that's not a bad thing at
Nope.
all. But for character development, the dad kicks his senior son out before he's even graduated high school. Get out, dude. That's just wrong. I'm giving it a 1 for character.
Also, what we forgot to mention, Rufio. Isn't it Rufio?
Right, how we not we talking about Rufio. Way to go, Dick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I love that line.
I was thinking about that all the time, and I forgot to mention it too. Like, everybody knows who killed Lee except for Jeff. And Dante Bosco, he's like, everybody knows who killed him.
Knows, yeah.
That's it. Dick, Tracy. Yeah. It's like, how did you not know? It's like, oh, I feel really stupid now.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Well, it was like, I don't know who these golden fists are. You're not Korean. Duh. Surprise.
Wait, I'm pretty sure none of the cast are actually Korean, but
no,
I don't think so.
no, but that was kind of the way of things back then, I guess.
That's 90s stereotyping for you right there.
Yeah.
Well, I was blown away that Professor Toru Tanaka is Hawaiian. Jeff Speakman said he was a good friend of Ed Parker's because they grew up together. I'm like, he looks Asian.
That's not even his real name.
He's got a totally different. I forgot what it is, but Jeff Speakman said it in the interview with Scott Adkins. But I can't remember what it was. I don't know why
he's not a professor either. So it all just works.
Yeah.
It's Sub-Zero, man. That's all it's ever going to be for me.
Yeah.
The thread between this and Seagal's films is the hero arrives and prevents a store owner from paying protection money and ends up doing more damage to the store than they would have paid.
Yes.
Above the law. Above the law. That poor shopkeep guy just, really? Again? We're destroying my store.
I love it. Jeff hasn't even walked into the store and he pulls the guy out. He's like, I already broke shit. What's going on?
Good thing he was there just in time.
Just in time. Yeah.
He punched that dude in the ankle, man. That was like the one hit I think I felt worse. That guy kicks at him and he punches him in the ankle. I'm like, who does that? That's
not okay. Yeah, that's worse than hitting someone in the balls.
That's not okay.
I got a funny story for you. You know that ring? There's the dragon on the one side and the tiger on the one side, and he turns.
I meant to talk about that. Yeah.
Everybody thought that was the coolest ring ever. Well, we trained with the right hand man under Ed Parker. His name is Richard Huck Planis. He's pretty much, if you want to know Kenpo, he's the one. And I miss going to his seminar so bad because he was the most knowledgeable man besides Ed Parker when he passed away. We asked him about the ring. We go, did you have one of those rings that Jeff Speakman's sporting in the Perfect Weapon? He's like, no. He's like, it looked like he got that out of a Cracker Jack box. We're like, oh, we're like, oh, son of a bitch. Okay. Well, I guess you don't have that. It's like,
how does it work?
Yeah,
like
they made a big deal.
Way, it's like it's digging into your hand.
Yeah, it looks like it would hurt. And I wanted to get one just to see what it would do.
Yeah. They make a big deal when he spins it around during the fight, and it does nothing.
Right.
Like, I don't even think he punches him after he turns the ring around.
I think he turned it so he wouldn't hurt because his whole thing was he didn't want to do as much more damage that he had to. And when he kills Tanaka at the end, that's in self-defense. If you think
I mean, there's a whole coming around full circle.
Yeah, so
that's in the enjoyment part.
Yeah. So he hang on. So that's the big thing of him not killing, through the whole movie. So I think he was doing it so he wouldn't damage anybody more than he has with his
it wasn't clear if the inner thing is what he's doing now or the outer thing is what he's doing.
That's where I was confused.
Yeah, I think the tiger is early strength and the dragon is spiritual strength. And that's the whole thing. He's a tiger at the beginning. And that's the big thing in Kenpo. It's on our patch. The dragon is over top of the tiger because the dragon is more knowing and more spiritual than the tiger is, and he transforms from a tiger to a dragon throughout the course of this movie and kicking the shit out of
they say something. They talk about that in there, don't they? They talk about him being a tiger.
Yes,
when he's talking to his master.
He says that this is the tiger, and he throws the punch and he blocks it, and then he goes, "This is the dragon." He throws the exact same punch and he blocks it. He's like, the dragon always has a second choice, and he aims for his ribs, so he always has somewhere else to go with it. Yeah.
That was the real message that they were trying to get.
That really was. That was that extra scene with Mariska. That's what we needed in the movie.
There was no nudity, unfortunately. Yeah, we didn't see her.
No.
So no.
So has everybody discussed?
I think we're there. I think we're ready for enjoyment.
Oh yeah.
We're
all
on
kind of
to
into the enjoyment.
enjoyment. Okay, so well, I'm going to go for enjoyment. I will say 2.0. Despite any of the flaws with the film, it's funny. The logic goes out the window. And like, yeah, I could take it apart. You know, the story's not great, the character's not great, whatever else. But it's Jeff Speakman kicking and punching people in the face for 80 something minutes, and I was like, sold. So, what's that noise? Never it stopped. Yeah, so 2.0 for me, great action scenes. The fight scenes are fantastic. It's such an easy film to watch. You can stick it on and just watch it regularly. You know, you watched it 3 times this week. It's easy to do. It's the kind of movie you can easily.
It's on right now. It's on right now.
Nice. So yeah, so 2.0 for me. So Charlie, you.
Like I'm kicking myself for missing this movie most of my life. I had to have watched it once with Ben. He's on the chat. And I'm sure we watched it, that was badass, and then we moved on to Van Damme or something. I don't know. There was just so much to take in. And so I watched it this week, and I couldn't take my eyes off of it. I was like, this movie is completely badass. Jeff Speakman is the man. I Got the Power is playing as he's doing his whole Kenpo moves and poses and everything at the beginning. The fights are phenomenal. As much as I ding the characters, I loved all the actors that were in it because I have just fond memories of all of them in so many movies. And yeah, I just enjoyed the hell out of this movie. So it's a 2. Absolutely loved it. I bought it. It's on Amazon, but I bought it. So I spent the $12.
Yeah.
J-Man.
I'm giving it 2 out of 2. I love this movie. I think it's great. I dinged it where I felt was appropriate, but for the enjoyment part of space, you throw everything out the window and you just say, look, I love this movie. I don't care about whatever flaws there are. Yeah. The reasons, though, is that Jeff is awesome. And I know that in critical analysis of the movie, that pacing and characters do get dinged because of the way the structure of the movie. However, once you watch the movie once or twice, even in other movies, you do tend to fast forward some movies. You know, you might chapter to scenes that you like. This movie, you never have to actually chapter to anything because it's all using shorthand. It's like, okay, I get it. They made up at the end with his dad. That's cool. They made up. Like, it's like, would it have been nice as an emotional thing to show a scene? Yes. Would it have been better to show more with him and the brother? Yes. Would it have been better to show more of him and the girl? Yes. But it's all shorthand. She opens the door at the end. She welcomes him back. That means he's good now. His spirit and tiger are one. Dragon tiger are one or whatever. He's a dragon now. She's cool with them, and now they'll be together. Like, it's like, you know, as movie fans and action fans, we put these pieces together. We fill in the gaps. So in a movie that you enjoy, you fill in gaps that are missing. In a movie that you don't like, you pick apart these gaps and say, this doesn't make sense. This is stupid. Yeah. This, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to make a fun movie first and foremost, because you can forget things. Like, I love Army of Darkness. That's in top 10. Does it continue from Evil Dead 2? No. At the end of Evil Dead 2, they hate him. And in this one, they love him. It's like, no, sorry, they love him in part 2 and they hate him in part 3. Like, what? But it doesn't matter, right? So as fans of action movies, we can fill in these gaps, and we don't really need it. It doesn't harm anything, right? It's not a drama where the characters mattered that much. So I'm giving it a 2. It's awesome. I love this movie. Like, I mean, I've watched it so many. I bought it on Blu-ray. I instantaneously watched it. Yeah. I instantaneously made a video on it. Somebody who knew Jeff Speakman commented on my video, and it's like, oh, you know, I was like, I love the movie. So
nice.
Yeah, there's some times where even though you can, you know, nitpick about movies' faults, you still love the movie anyway, and that's the case with this one. I think it's awesome. Yep. And Alex here gives it a 2 as well. His martial arts and screen presence make it a fun, easy watch. It's a comfortable martial arts film that's had a bigger impact than it gets credit for. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, I've got something to ask after. So John, over to you.
Are you having me go last because you already know what I'm going to say?
Yes, that was pretty much yeah.
Like,
I told you we all should have just guessed what his score was. It would have been way more fun.
Okay, but I dinged it. I was honest with
that would have made it more challenging, John.
Yes. Listen, that Friday night in that theater, I was transformed. Like I said, I've always was a Chuck Norris fan, Ninja fan. You know, I was a martial arts fan, and that night I was like, "That's it. I want to do what this guy's doing." And another cool story I have, you know, that gym fight for my my second degree black belt test. Because when you get your black belt in Kenpo, you've gone through all the techniques and the forms, or the katas, as we call them forms because it's American. But you pretty much learn what you know of Kenpo, but it's still an ongoing process, and you learn extensions and stuff like that. But you have to do something different. And for my secondary black belt test, I recreated the gym fight scene for my test, and I did it in front of some of the big black belts and everything. And when I wish I had, like I said, it got damaged. There was a fire in my parents' house, and I lost a lot of my stuff, including that copy of. But when I was done with it, they all commended me and said that I did almost verbatim motion to motion of what Jeff Speakman did in that fight scene. Yeah, and that just meant so much to me. And just to see Jeff Speak, like I said, I'm so mad because I can't tell you how many people I get. Like, I wish he was a bigger star. You know what? So do I, because he deserved it. And when and then Paramount got a leadership change, and he was stuck with Mark DeSalle, the producer, which he flat out, and Scott Adkins said wasn't the greatest producer ever. So he was stuck doing Street Night, which I love all the movies. They're shit. Okay, after this, but not shit, but they start. There's better movies than others. I'm sorry, but he should have been able to do his 4 Paramount picture movie deal.
Speed. Jeff Speakman's Speed. We should have seen that.
Right. And I read that.
They were gonna work it into the plot where he had to get off
and fight. I know.
And do Kenpo. I'm like, how awesome. I'm not taking Keanu Reeves away. It's a classic. But to have,
I want both. I want both versions.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
He should have been Speed 2. There you go.
I mean, if I was Jeff Speakman, I'd be a very bitter man. But he's not.
He's super cool.
He knows that the movie thing was okay, but his path was furthering the works of Ed Parker, and that's what he's doing now. Everybody's like, "Oh, he needs to be in Expendables." I'm like, he doesn't act anymore, people. He's had health problems, and he's going around the world promoting Kenpo. That's what he does now. He
no longer needs to be the tiger. He is now the dragon.
That's right. And to see his, like I said, and I'm biased because now when I watch the movie and he's doing his moves, I'm picking out techniques. And ask any black belt, in Kenpo when they're watching it. That's not pain. He should have said that if he made the Speed movie. But and to know what techniques he's doing and why he's doing them, and the Kenpo sticks and everything, and I've done all that. It transformed my life as a person. Not that I was like a black hole before I saw The Perfect Weapon, but as when I saw that, I was just getting out of high school, and I was like, this is what I want to do, and I did it for almost 25 years.
Wow.
So, wow, that's great.
So if it's a two,
sure.
No shit.
But it's my favorite. There's a lot of great martial arts movies out there, but this is bar none my favorite because he came out of nowhere just like Seagal did. Of course Seagal had a better career movie wise than he did, and that just
should have been the other way around.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say. I mean, Seagal is Seagal. I get it, but yeah, Speakman should have been. He should have been making Warner Brothers movies and Under Siege, and could you imagine Under Siege with just Speakman doing Kenpo on people's asses?
Dude, that would have been amazing.
Oh my god! Not to say that Akita wasn't cool or anything, but just
he did a good job. But I get what you're saying. Yeah,
and I'm mad that nobody else is picking up the mantle. Like, they should make more movies. There's somebody out there that is a high-ranking black belt that probably could act, that could further Kenpo in the movies, but you just don't.
People aren't really looking for that anymore. It's all Marvel stuff now or whatever.
Yeah, and it made me laugh because when you watch Red Scorpion 2 with Matt McCallum, they're doing American Kenpo in that movie. They're doing Short 3, which the scene where they all start doing the form together. That's Short 3, and then when he's fighting the big guy at the end, he's doing Kenpo. And the reason why is I can't remember what the guy's name, but the fight choreographer was a black belt in Kenpo. And Matt McComb studied American Kenpo. So when I saw him doing it, I was like, oh my God, he's doing Kenpo. Because I didn't know he was going to start doing Kenpo in Red Scorpion too. So I thought he was going to start, maybe, but of course that's
taking up the mantle.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, it was just a thrill to see Kenpo, done, by somebody else, in another movie.
I think the mentality of action movies, though, or at least what people think of action movies, has changed.
Yes.
Like with Van Damme and Schwarzenegger and Stallone, and Seagal and all of these guys, there's so many guys to choose from.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, wow, there was one cool movie every year by one of them or multiple.
Yeah.
And these were like pretty good household names, right? Like our mutual friend Owen and I, Steven, his mom bought and watched every Seagal movie. She knows more than all of us on Seagal put together. She's watched everything.
God bless her.
And
she's my second mommy.
And she literally gave Owen, how many movies did she give you? She basically gave you like
10 or 15 old Seagal movies.
Like whatever it's like
you
completed your collection. So, but the mentality is different now. People want, I don't think people actually know what they actually want.
No.
Because they tend to be very easy on movies like, oh, I loved it, and it's like I loved it as though that means something now, which it's.
Well, say, is there a movie? What?
There's a reason I do this. It's give me back my action movies.
Yeah. Give me back
my action movies of old.
Yeah, that's what I want. And give me like that feeling. Yeah. Scott Adkins is probably the closest we really have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
As new blood.
He hasn't reached up there to where it's a household name where you need someone to. Even the Expendables movies are not bringing it. They're not bringing it really. No. They're kind of bringing it, sort of. They're bringing.
They work better as an idea rather than the execution. It's like they should be better than they are. Like they're good. I enjoy them, but I'm like, they're not amazing.
But Owens nailed it. No one's brave enough to go up against the Marvel machine. No one's there. That's where the money's going because that's apparently what everyone wants. We watch them as much as we might bitch about them.
I love them.
We watch them.
I'll admit it.
But I also want. How many times did you watch Batman there, J-Man? So, but
I've watched it twice so far.
We can also sit here and go, though, but man, we really want the action movies. And the more I talk to people, they're out there. They're just not spending billions of dollars to go watch these movies. Scott Adkins is a working man. He's probably one of the hardest working men in action movies right now.
True.
But that also gets comfortable. But why would you want to risk something and just go, John Wick? But John Wick's an anomaly.
Franchise. Yeah, it's only the one.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the Fast and Furious franchise, which is terrible.
It's completely gone downhill. And I mean, even if we talk like Nobody, that's essentially the same universe as John Wick, though. Yeah. Same people, but they're not as that we love them as action fans, but they're not in the public eye, like they should be.
Yeah.
Nobody.
That's me. I'll get off my pedestal.
Yeah, no, Nobody was a more traditional action movie. John Wick, maybe not as much in the sense of there's more. This sounds weird, but there's almost too much style in it for it to be.
It's gung fu almost.
Yeah. Like it's like
it's more Asian. It's influenced from more by Hong Kong action rather than the old school action.
Exactly. Exactly. It's not American action style where it's a bit grittier, not as pretty.
We don't have our Greek gods running across the screen anymore. We don't have Arnold Schwarzenegger carrying a tree out of the woods. And it's fine that we got more of the everyman. Like even Jeff Speakman's kind of small compared to our other action heroes, but you needed those larger than life characters to put people in the theaters. That's what they wanted to see. And now it's going to get a little touchy when I say this, but that's kind of like the poster children for toxic masculinity, nowadays. And that's what they associate that with. And I'm like, no, that's not it at all. I'm actually more of a decent person because those were the guys that were kicking the bad guys' ass. That's
the thing is that, okay, when you get an actor to be in a movie, your brain tells you this is an actor in a movie. When you get a real martial artist to be in a movie, your brain is saying, oh, wow, this guy's a real fighter. Look at the amazing things he can do. Maybe I can, aspire to do these things. And that gives you a hero to look up to. And this is what they don't want. because the thing is that that's what they call, oh, it's just talk, you're looking up to this big strong man. No,
Yeah.
you know, John's life has been vastly improved by him studying Kenpo, getting his black belts and all that. Like, this is something that's made John a better person than he would have been had he not seen The Perfect Weapon, right? So it's like, you know, it gets you to, it motivates you to do something. If you see an actor, like, let's say, I don't like the Bourne movies, so I always beat those up, but what's the guy's name? What's the guy's name? Oh my God.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Yeah. So
It's
when
okay,
you see
man.
Matt Damon do, there's not going to be a little kid who watches Matt Damon and be like, wow, that was a great movie. He'll go home and say, like, that was a great movie. He's not going to go to Matt Damon and be like, wow, Matt Damon's a great martial artist. I'm going to be just like him, because he knows that this is martial arts. It's like Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man as a kid. I was not a kid who thought he was Spider-Man.
Right.
I would play with Spider-Man toys and swing them around and shoot, but I never thought that I was Spider-Man. However, when you watch some of these other movies, you know, if you're at the right age, you do think like, oh man, I could, because I took Taekwondo for 2.5 years, right around the time of Perfect Weapon, and we did a parody of Perfect Weapon when we filmed it as kids. I had the 2 sticks and I beat up my bed instead of a couch. And it was, and that, you know, like, so we did a lot of weird stuff too, but like, I mean, it's because of that, right? Nobody gets inspired by an actor who's playing a martial artist. People are inspired by Bruce Lee because they know he was a real martial artist.
Yeah.
No, I think it's great. Yeah.
Well, it just goes with, like, everything happens for a reason. Like, and again, I'm going to go back to Jeff Speakman when he was talking to Scott Adkins, and he said something that really touched me. You know, Jean-Claude Van Damme, don't get me wrong, he rejuvenated the martial arts.
Oh yeah, he shit talked Van Damme. That's what I was going to bring
He
up.
did, but I agreed with him. Van Damme's skill set, if you think about it, if you watch Speakman's skill set, as opposed, Jean-Claude was a ballet guy and everything.
He's a dancer.
He's got beautiful kicks. He can jump. He can spin, but he's limited. Like, you know, drop the splits. You know, it's like he's limited in his skill set. When you got Jeff Speakman doing what he's doing on screen, and the other thing that hit me too is everything in The Perfect Weapon is practical application Kenpo. None of it is cinematic. Everything that he's doing in this movie, it's practical Kenpo. This is the way Kenpo is. We're not. This is what we're doing right here. And the other thing too is Jeff Wincott. Same thing. He was a martial artist, but a good actor. Why didn't he become bigger? You know, he did some B-movie action movies. He should have been a bigger star in the 90s because he could. Because I remember watching him with my sister because I was like, she was watching the movies I was watching, and she's like, this guy can act. I'm like, right? It's like, not only can he do action scenes, but he's a good actor. She's like, well, why don't I know who he is? I'm like, right? It's like,
that's studio.
Yes.
I mean, that's why Van Damme is who he is. Yes. He had studio behind him that just kept putting it out there, and he was like, both of them are pretty men. I mean, they're both cut. They both have, you know, good facial features and bones. And I don't know who can wear denim that can stretch like Jeff Speakman does in this movie, but that is the most flexible denim in the world.
He's probably wearing Chuck Norris pants.
That's what it's Chuck Norris pants.
But I always thought he looked like a country singer.
Yes.
A little bit.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah, he does. He should look like he should have a guitar around.
But if you don't
like Six-String Samurai.
If you don't have the support, especially back then, of, you know, even like we're talking, Cannon was the one that was supporting Van Damme more than anything.
Yeah.
But Paramount went through this weird shift, and it was just, was in the cards for Speakman. I would love to watch this movie through your eyes though, John, knowing what you know and what your path has been. I'd love to know how it is you're actually experiencing this movie, because it's totally different than the three of us.
Right.
You know, we all love it, but we're not getting anything that you're getting from it.
Exactly.
So
I get it. Yeah. And if somebody comes up and tells me they hate The Perfect Weapon, I don't get mad. I'm like, because
you just hit them with a Kenpo stick.
I just, and it pisses me off too, because I had the Kenpo sticks, and I had the thing that held them in your back too. I'm like, oh my god, and it was just the best thing ever. And I didn't kick the crap out of a couch, but I did beat the shit out of a punching bag with those things. And my boss got mad at me. He's like, I have to buy new ones every time you do that. And I'm like, well, you want me to practice, So,
right.
But yeah, so
buy me more couches then, damn it.
I want to give we didn't give the final scores. I just remember.
Oh no, we all just went off on tangents.
We do that. And I could talk all night about this movie, so I gotta shut up. I understand, but it's like,
Okay, so I've got the official. So here's what we're gonna do. I'll read out the scores, then you tell me whether you think that sounds reasonable for what you think, and if you want, we can kind of quickly go over what
Okay.
you gave it. So Owen and John, you both gave it the exact same scores in all categories to give a final score of 8 out of 10.
Yep, works for me.
The biggest ding was really the characters saying that Jeff is really the brother to an extent, are the only kind of characters you kind of had any feeling for. The rest were just kind of there. Charlie, you gave it 7.5 out of 10. Again, characters and a little bit of the story because of the conveniences of the plot. That was sort of your take. Yeah, are you good with 7.5?
I feel like when you make me tear a movie apart,
you feel bad.
I do, because I've watched this movie technically 4 times now because it's playing right now. I feel like I would be in the 8.5 if I just gave it a number. But I understand my score.
Charlie, it's like last week. It's like, if you don't like this movie, you're not an action fan. So you got to.
I kind of felt that way all of a sudden because I don't think J-Man's as low as me.
No, I'm the lowest. I'm the lowest.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
It's not far off. I kind of wish I was more 8, and I guess I probably could have give a half to story. I was overly critical of it on that, but I'm not going to change my score. Let's put it that way.
All right, yeah, that's fine. I'm at a 7. When I was doing my notes originally, I was close to an 8. But I'm too much like, it's like, see, John, you went into the path of the martial arts, and I went into the nerd movie critic guy. I write scripts. I've published books. Like it's like, so I'm very like critical. So for me, it's a 7 out of 10, which means it's way above average because most movies are between 4 and 6.
Right.
So
yeah.
And
7
I get
out of 10
that.
for me is very good. And I've watched this movie tons of times.
I understand. It's a middle of the road martial arts flick from 1991. It's not like the greatest movie. I mean, in terms of me, for what it did to me, that's why I'm totally biased. But I get it. When I watch the movie, I understand that the plot's simple, which is good. You need the plot to be simple you don't need confusion, and the characters are all two-dimensional. They're two-dimensional. I get it, but that doesn't stop me from watching it 18,000 times a year.
No, I get you.
Because you're following the positive about this movie is because you're following Jeff, and we like Jeff, and he's very good at what he does.
Yeah,
that alleviates a lot of the pressure of the other actors, where they can phone it in, or the characters can be underwritten because Jeff is so good, and it doesn't matter that much. If you remember, I gave Above the Law more than this when I was looking back, which I would rather watch this movie over Above the Law, but Above the Law, because some of the other characters were pretty good, like Pam Grier and everything, and their relationship was really interesting. That brings it up critically, but my enjoyment level, which is really what I really care about, for this movie is much higher than my enjoyment would have been for that movie, just as a thing. So again, it goes by what you enjoy the most, but it's just just to give it a score, and it gives us a talking point. Like I like having the talking points, because then we can kind of like all bounce off each other, like, oh, you made a good point, or you made a great point, or maybe I got to rethink this. So
that's what I was
good.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, is that which was the better debut, Above the Law or The Perfect Weapon?
Oh, Perfect Weapon.
Perfect.
Matter of fact, mine's higher than my Above the Law score. I had mine wrote down. I was 7 for that.
See, now I'm mad because I gave Above the Law a higher score. I think.
What's wrong with you, John?
I know,
You're an
right?
action fan.
I can. Okay.
Turn in your badge.
I gotta rip my patch off.
Rip it off there. Flip it up the other way.
I think Above the Law is a better film, but I think The Perfect Weapon is a better introduction to Jeff Speakman and what he does. And the reason is that the movie is focused. It's about him being the perfect weapon. It's about him and his style and his philosophy. So it is a better movie to introduce someone who's going to use this new style of martial arts that we haven't seen before. Above the Law is a better film, but it is not a better introduction to Steven Seagal, who is going to use Aikido to bring in a new style of martial arts, because the Aikido parts are not that, they're not in there as much.
Yeah.
No, they're not as amazing as Kenpo is.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
They're not they're showcased very well for the 2 or 3 scenes that we see them. Right. Yeah. It might be a better structured film, though. It's a little longer. There's more development of the characters. There's more plot. So film wise, like if like if my wife was going to watch it, she might say this one is better. Right. But like if you're looking for a martial art to be introduced that we haven't seen on film, Perfect Weapon's way, way better because it's about his martial art. Above the Law is about a guy who's a cop, a slice of his life. He happens to know Aikido, which we haven't seen before, but it's not about that.
And we talked about the ending of Above the Law, how he didn't have the big, like Speakman has the big ending with the
he gets a final fight.
He gets the beat and he uses sticks and he throws a knife into a guy and he fights a big guy, you know. And I talked about Above the Law last week where I was like, you didn't get that big, you got the shootout in the parking garage, but you needed like some big Aikido scene or something.
Yeah.
Like and we all talked about how he's drugged, but yet he just totally vaporizes everybody in 2 seconds. And just walks out and stumbles and falls over.
But I mean, even Above the Law kind of falls apart with character-wise because we were talking about like Zagon's barely in the movie, so we don't get a whole lot of that. Pam Grier is underused in the movie as much as we love her.
Not as much as Mariska Hargitay.
You're not wrong about that. But
James
another
Hong is barely a presence in this one when
it's
Zagon
almost like
shows up.
They could have like done away with like 2 or 3 characters in Perfect Weapon and just built up the others a little bit better. Yeah. But one aspect that I look at things as, you know, I got a son that's like 15 and a half and he's now showing interest in action movies. I also look at it and go, which one of these movies do I want to show him first? A Perfect Weapon. Like I watched that movie going, this is like the perfect movie to show, hell, even a 12-year-old. It may be rated R, but it's like barely rated R as far as I'm concerned.
My 6-year-old came up to me when I was watching it today. She's like, "Can I watch this with you, Daddy?" I'm like, "Sure." I'm like, you know,
I think it's
she sees people
overly violent.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's just F-bombs. I think they drop once or twice.
Yes, once or twice. But he's beating the piss out of people. But I go,
but no blood.
And she knows it's fake. And I go, this is what Daddy used to do for a living. And then she gets all excited.
Oh, that's even better. Damn it.
Yeah. So,
this is what Dad used to kick the shit out of guys.
A documentary in a day in my life. Yeah.
Okay,
this was last Tuesday.
I never went out for vengeance, but you know, I
did go out for tacos one day, and they tried to rob him and take his wallet.
I did get into altercations. None of them were my fault, mind you, but I didn't start them, but I did finish them. That's all I'll say on that.
Awesome,
and I'm not lying. I mean, I'll tell you guys off camera some of my stories. They're funnier than shit. I mean, I got some pretty, because I went to college for a little bit. I didn't finish college, but that's where I had most of my troubles because I had this friend who was an asshole and he couldn't keep his mouth shut. I'm like, if you don't keep your fucking mouth shut, I'm gonna shut you off because I would be the one that's always like, I wish. I need that now.
Cash and checks.
My disability ran out. I'm like,
I'm just thinking that Owen, you need to do a Patreon thing where we can just have like the stories with John and his Kenpo days. People can pay to hear the stories.
Oh my God. I have so many of them too. But even with my damaged brain, I remember. I mean, what made me mad though is like I was going through my books today, and there's a lot of stuff that I forgot. But like once I started trying, and again, it's hard for me to read right now, but once I started to go through them, it started to come back to me. But I was getting so pissed because I'm like, I used to know this stuff like the back of my hand.
John, that's just us getting old, brother. That's just gonna happen, man. I forget shit every day.
Yeah, I know. And there's no good Kenpo. Even when I was healthy, there was no good Kenpo schools. I went to one Kenpo school that was in Londonderry in New Hampshire, and I worked out for a little bit. But the guy, I was higher ranked than the head guy was. He's like, I got nothing I could show you. I'm like, I just want to. But hey, I was like, I just want to work out. I don't give a shit. Yeah. Because the big thing with Kenpo, and I love this about Kenpo, is it's called ukiing, which is a Japanese word for dummy. You actually do the techniques on a partner and people, and you beat the shit out of each other. Now, granted, it's self-controlled, but you actually make contact and you manipulate and you do all. So that stuff that you're seeing on screen, I did that stuff on people. I mean, not where I beat them into the hospital, but that's the thing with Kenpo. You have to be able to do it on somebody when you're testing.
Is that why they were punching the shit out of each other in the gut when they were all lined up?
Pow,
pow, pow.
We never did that. That's bullshit. I don't know where that came from. Well, at least in my school, that never happened. Because I was like, where do we get punched in the gut? He's like, we don't. You just make a triangle with your hands to show respect to your elbow and you bow to your belt. Kind of like what he does at the table. Yeah. But I was mad because when I finally got my black belt, I'm like, where's the special table at? Where we sit? It's like,
do I fold this? What do I do? Oh, you just take it from me. That's
no. He sets it down in front of you, and you do the ceremony, and then you put the belt on. But then you get the ceremonial kick to bump you up into the next belt level. So basically, what it is you have to go into a horse stance, and the head instructor kicks you as hard as he can in your gut, and you have to take it. And that's what you did for your belt test. And I swear to God, when my instructor hits you, oh my God, I was like, you need me to teach your classes, right? He started laughing.
Those poor kids that made their first belt. Oh, thank you, Sensei.
With the kids, he does like a little tap, of course. But as you get higher in rank,
I'm out. I don't want to get part.
Hang on. As you get higher rank, the kick gets harder. So when you're a white going for yellow, he doesn't kick you as hard. But when you're going for your black belts, they have people. I shit you not. When I was going for my first, second, and third, and even my third was the worst. He had people come up and brace me because I was going to fly back too far for about.
Holy shit. I'm starting to be glad we didn't have anything near me and Ben when we were growing up. We were out in the middle of nowhere. There was no martial art teachers near us. We just had to beat the piss out of each other with sticks. That's all we had.
That's how you look. That's how Daniel was learning before he met Miss Maggie. He was learning from book. He's like, "Oh, you learning from book?"
We were learning from Rambo 3.
Yeah,
the stick fight at the beginning of that.
You put the movies on, and you're like, "Hey, let's do this out in the backyard."
My grandfather made me nunchucks when I was like a little kid. I said, "Can you make these?" He's like, "Sure." He literally got and I'm like, I still have them. I have the nunchucks my grandfather made me when I was a little kid. Next stream I'll pull them out. They're just behind the thing. I'm thinking this should not have been made for a kid. And I was going around whipping them around.
Yeah, I said, this knife is the only thing I have left. Like I said, I lost stuff in my parents' fire, and this is the only thing I have is Gil Hibbett's knife that he autographed. But I had it all. I had the sticks, I had the bows, I had. If you name, I got like 8,000 uniforms. Like this is only one uniform. I got like 5 more, like in a box. Yeah.
Dang, man. I think your grandpa was smarter though, Jay, man, because he's just going to knock the piss out of himself more than he's going to hurt anyone else in the neighborhood.
I practice all the time. Like I just wanted to do the Bruce Lee stuff. I was like, I practice like crazy. If I do it now, I'll probably smash my face. But
guaranteed, I would hurt myself if I tried to do any things I did as a kid.
He also bought me a spiked mace, but my mom has it at her house for protection.
I have the sword Dad made, but it's kind of heavy. I'll bring it on when we do Conan or something.
Oh, my favorite movie.
I always wanted to be like in the Expendables 2. You can't beat a classic. I want to put.
Yeah.
So when I was watching the interview with Scott Adkins and Jeff Speakman the other day. And Jeff Speakman was talking about that scene, which is one of my favorite scenes whenever he kicks the football player, the guy in the helmet.
Yeah.
And like the actor was apparently being a dick on the set of that.
Yes.
So he was like, "Do you mind if I actually hit you for real?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, go ahead." And he like knocks him flat out. But apparently Scott Adkins loved that scene so much he put it into Accident Man.
Yes.
Where he's fighting the guy in the motorcycle helmet, and that's his little nod to Perfect Weapon.
Oh
which
my
I thought
God.
was
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
But it was funny though because he had cowboy boots on and like jeans, and he did the exact same moves that the kid did, in his athletic outfit.
Stretchy denim, man. Stretchy denim.
I'm like, somebody needs to have footage of that because I want that. I want that on my YouTube channel.
The girls have it now. Was it like jeggings where it's leggings but they look like denim? That's what you're going to need.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So next week, J-Man is not able to join us. I'm going to see if there's a couple of other people I know. I'm going to see if they want to join us. But next Friday, we're planning on talking about our favorite movies by Walter Hill. So we're going to be talking like The Warriors and 48 Hours and Hard Times and Extreme Prejudice. I mean, it's actually really tough to pick which one is going to be a favorite. So I'm going to have to give them a watch just to catch up on them all. So that's what I'm thinking we're going to do next week anyway. So I've got a comment here.
Adds to cart. Nice.
All right, so we will likely see you all next week. So sorry we won't see you next week, J-Man, but we will see you soon. And remember to like and subscribe, and if you want to comment below, that's also cool. And then subscribe to J-Man's channel, John's, and then find Charlie, give me back my action movies, give me back my horror movies. And remember, if you're watching, you are the Action Elite.